evening and welcome to this week's Sunday Night Live. This is our first show for the season. So I want to thank everybody for tuning in and welcome. This is your favorite automotive show where we talk about all things automotive. Fixed ops, variable ops, doesn't really matter. If it has to do with the car business, I bring on the experts to talk about it because the better we all get, the better the public perceives our business. So it's very exciting to be on this evening. I've got a great panel that's going to be talking about where we've been, where we are, and where the data is pointing us to. Do have one apology. Brian Kramer had a family emergency come up, so he was at the last moment not able to join us. So hoping everything is fine there. But other than that, we are ready to roll. So welcome to my great guests. Why don't you introduce yourselves a little bit so some of the folks that may not know you get to know who you are. Rachel?
Thanks, Paul. Nice to meet you all, and Happy New Year to everybody. This is very exciting. Start the new year off accomplishing one of my goals, which was to do more live video, which I appreciate you setting this up for me. I used to do a podcast called Car Biz Leaders Live, and I own an automotive transport company called Royalty Logistics, and we ship cars for wholesalers and dealers. I actually met our dear friend Max Clem in the lanes at Mannheim, Nashville, back in the day when I used to work for Wholesale Inc. So I've been in the car business for about 10 years. I know a lot of people. I do a lot of networking, and my strength really is, besides just putting cars on trucks, is really bringing my network together to do business. So I'm excited to meet all of you and get going in the new year.
Awesome. Well, welcome. Mr. Paul Machine.
Hello, everyone. It's good to be back again, Paul. I'm with Black Book Data and Analytics. I do my best to speak slower than I normally speak, so the stream can keep up, or the buffing.
Paul is on vacation right now. Paul's on vacation, and where he is in Florida, the signal is not the greatest, so please bear with him. Thank you. All right, so Paul, you're with Black Book?
Yes, sir. I'm with Black Book, and as you said, I'm here on vacation. I will do my best to slow down as I share the data that I have to share.
Awesome, thank you. Mr. Ty Thompson.
That's me, Ty, transport guy, usually hanging out in the transport parking lot. 20 years in the transportation industry. Got a great friend, Jay Wurtzberger, Auto Transport Intel. That's been a big thing. And then we're always making new friends with everybody. So that's me.
Awesome. Mr. Max Clem.
Good evening, everyone. And Paul, thank you for having me on the show. It's a pleasure to be on the group with these professionals and be on the panel with them and to help and give our knowledge to people as they ask for it. I've been in the automotive business a little while, about 50 years. And I'm with my son-in-law in Springfield, Illinois. We have a used car lot, and we enjoy working together and have a good time. Every day we tell ourselves we're going to have fun, make money, and make customers happy. And life's been good to me, and I try to continue my education some way every day in the automotive business and hope that I can help others. Thanks for having me on.
Wonderful. Max and I connected recently, and on our initial phone call, it seems like I've known you forever, Max, because we are two people in the car business for a long time that travel similar paths, but at different times in different places. I think they call that going to different schools together or something like that.
That's right. That's right. And Rachel, it's good to see you tonight also. Rachel and I used to joke with each other every Tuesday and Wednesday in Mannheim, Nashville, and give each other a hard time. We had a great time there, and she worked for a great company at that time. I did a lot of business with Rachel and her company at that time.
Awesome. Well, welcome and Happy New Year to everybody. We've got a couple of comments here. Jerry Davis says, hello, everyone. Eric says, good evening. Eric is from hashtag SDL. Sunday Service Drive Live, a show on Sunday mornings. If you haven't been, you might want to check it out. It's a great show. We had about 26 people on this morning. So yeah, great. Thanks for being on. Kurt Von Anand says, Happy New Year. He's in the power sports space. Mark Williamson says, hello all. Jerry Davis, as usual. Paul Meijer, another great panel of professionals. Thank you. Lo Wilson, awesome. Karma is present. Robert Sebastian, my Fixed Ops brother, says Happy New Year. And Lo Wilson, awesome Zoom team. Yes, it was. Let's rock it. All right. So, Paul, why don't you share with us some of the data that got us to this place and what some of the projections are going forward, and then we'll have a conversation.
Perfect. Let me know when you guys can. I'm sharing my screen, and as I said, share screen, window. Hopefully this one works. Let me know when you guys can see the screen.
Okay, we're in.
Perfect. So as people know, Black Book, a data and analytics company, been around forever, just about as long as you've been in the business, a little bit longer than you've been in the business, Max.
Yes.
So our data is the most precise, trusted data, not just for dealers, but if you think of any business that touches the automotive vertical in any facet, they're using our data a lot of times to power their engines in the back end. So as Ty and Paul Meijer have had, I've enjoyed many of these events with them. They're used to hearing me start off with some examples of what we are experiencing today. So here's an image, gas lines. So I was very, very young when the gas lines in the 70s were happening. And I had lived most of my life hearing those stories, never thought I would experience it again. As you can tell by this recent picture, we are going to experience this. And this is happening in many parts of the country today. So the Fed, a couple weeks ago said that in 2022, they plan to have 3 interest rate hikes, 3. However, if the data supports that they can do 3 interest rate hikes. So I started researching when in our history did we ever have 3 interest rate hikes after having rates so low in 1 year. Anyone want to guess where it came from?
Never.
It was that's the reason why the gas line and hyperinflation created, and interest rates were almost 20% when they started doing that. So the best predictor of the future is past data points. Let's take a look and see other scenarios in our history that has created this. And all through this, the GMs and dealers that I know, and I'm sure, Max, you can share some very fond stories, the resiliency, the entrepreneurial spirit to pivot and adapt to the evolving marketplace daily. All right, I just changed the screen. Let me know when you guys see the screen.
Yep, gotcha.
Perfect. 152% wholesale weekly price increase indexed to the very first of the year. Put it in simple terms, a vehicle that was worth $10,000 in January is now worth $15,200 at the end of the year. I mean, just think about that for a second, wholesale wise. And those are 2 to 6 year old vehicles. And I will share with you in a few more slides why we may not see a lowering of valuations for 2022, probably not until 2023. So further understand, I just switched slides again. Let me know if you guys see one.
Yep, got it.
Great. So 152% wholesale. We're now paying as a consumer, we can sell that vehicle. We're listing them at 135% retail. Again, simple numbers, a vehicle that you can sell for $10,000 in January, you now can sell it for $13,500. But let me bake your noodle for a second here. That's a 17% margin depreciation, margin spread. So as a dealer, you're overpaying in the lane at the auction, and we have to, and we can't ask that much trying to retail it. We're asking all we can get today. So some of the strategies that we've discussed over the last 2 years is really bearing fruit for those dealers who totally embrace at least the first 3 strategies that I talk about. 100% service appraisal on every service write-up. No ifs, ands, or buts. Train your entire service department and your sales department using some of the technologies you have access to be able to put a cash offer whenever they're out and about with family and friends. Help you with vehicles, but you have to have a system that you can trust, and create a We Buy Cars portal. We have proven in the market that there are several businesses that are absolutely booming, buying cars, what I call the driveway buy. They're going to the customer's driveway to pick up that vehicle. Why can't we do that in our business? So entering 2022, let me know when you guys can see this slide.
Got it.
Okay. So the first area of heavy defleeting is in December 20th, 2019. And as you can see, there was heavy defleeting the last 2 months of the year and the first 2 months of the year, which helped support the used vehicle sales that we have in the first 6 months of the year. Now you take a look at December 2020, more heavy defleeting, but not as much because of lower supplies. Take a look towards the end of the slide. This is the last week of August, and you can see the difference in inventory levels being present in the market. Guess what we don't have, what we did not experience the last 2 months of November, December, and we won't see January and February. We won't see heavy defleeting. We won't see off-lease inventory. We are starting to see higher repossession levels because of the reduced repos throughout the year. Those are now starting to show up, but there's just not enough of that available inventory for traditional buying methods. So as a dealer, what does that mean overall? Well, we entered, I just switched slides. Can you guys see it?
Yep.
All right. So the purple line is our retail listings for the year. Right now, we entered 2022 with 16% fewer used vehicles being listed on a national basis. Now, that's just on the used car side. We entered 2022 on the new car side, something around 850 to 900,000 new vehicles being listed retail. So in 2 categories, we have suppression. Is that aimed for acquisition? I believe that we need to start thinking more about the customer experience and digital retailing solutions. And I put together some questions that I think that every dealer needs to ask of their people. How are they currently pricing inventory? Are they just basing it on old methodologies? Are they looking at the guidebooks to say what they can ask for their vehicle? Or do they truly know what their market demands? Because many times, particular vehicles will demand more than what the book will say, and the consumers will pay it. So ask, how are you pricing inventory, and why are you pricing it the way you are? How do they stand behind the valuations on their sight unseen appraisals? Now that's a doozy. Being able to put a trusted check writing number on an appraisal you haven't seen, that requires strong training, solid questions, a good interview process, whether you do it by phone or I love Facebook Messenger or video conferencing. A lot of people are comfortable with that. How many days is the appraisal good for? Is it good for that day? You got to buy for like we used to do. This appraisal is only good right now. Well, most of our biggest competitors that are out there are guaranteeing the appraisal for 7 to 10 days within the mileage bucket, of course. How about a concierge test drive? Well, right now we know 50% of the population do not want to go to a store today. Test drives that can be delivered to the customer's house or place of business does two things. It shows that you are part of what I call the bring it to me economy, and I'll talk about that a little bit more, but it also helps you get more exposure between that consumer's friends, business coworkers, and family members that may be at the residence or at the job when you deliver that test drive. That's the best advertising you could ever do. Have money back guarantee on a pre-owned car. The way the market is, that's not a bad idea. Because if you do have to get a car back, you'll be able to flip it again if you have to, once you repair it. And you can probably get it for a little bit more money sell it for a little bit more money if there is another valuations increase. It's happened 52 weeks last year. It may happen for the next 52 weeks this year. Shop by payment, budget, or approved finance on your website. So if you're a dealer, how easy are you making it for a consumer to do those three things? Because those are the three questions that people ask. Can I afford the payment? Will it fit in my budget? And will I get approved? Easy online structuring of financing or leasing. Self-guided. I just finished doing a mortgage and I didn't have to do anything. I just basically did everything online. And I kept thinking to myself the entire time, why can't we make it that easy? Online application that has a fast approval within minutes. I was approved in less than 30 seconds. So let me back up here. Hey, I hit enter too quick. There we go. As we talk about FNI, a lot of my dealer friends are concerned. How do I protect the sacred cow, which is the FNI, right? It's the golden goose. Well, I have data that proves that if you include the option for a consumer to walk themselves through, they buy and pay more for extended warranties, tire and wheel, etch, gap, and other finance solutions in a transparent, easy to follow system. Last two, text to buy or lease or service. A lot of people do that. I know I do. So let's talk about the bring it to me economy. I will ask and challenge every dealer who's listening. If you're not a bring it to me dealer, you are absolutely giving your customer permission to say, bite me, and they will do business with someone else who will deliver an experience to them that they want. So bite me is the acronym for bring it to me economy. So this is data that we got from a partner of mine. They did a test for a 6-store group, and this is the results after 2 months. 60% of the shoppers that they engaged with want to do more steps online compared to the last time they did. Time spent in dealerships was reduced by 78%. 59% reduction in deal time. The number 2 and 3 complaints that consumers have about going to a store, it takes too much time for sales and it takes too much time for service. Number 3, 50% reduction in steps to the sale. Well, I grew up learning 7 steps to the sale. And then there was another company that had 12 steps to the sale. And then there was a dealer group that had a 15 step to the sale. Consumers don't care about how many steps it takes. Not today. Let's make it easier. 38% fewer people were needed to complete a deal. So what does that mean about the people you currently have on staff? You don't need to terminate them. You still need them. You just reallocate their expertise to help deliver a customer experience that helps you win in a bring it to me economy. Customer adoptions of this kind of technology, 51% want a high-tech, high-touch experience. Now, it took 7 years for one TV to be an over, I think it was 75% of all homes nationwide. It took 7 years. It took less than 4 years for everyone to have in their homes to have internet. We're right now in the next year or two, you're going to see that you will hear that 51% will jump to 75, 80, 90% because the way technology improves, people start to embrace it. And number 6 is customer pay. 67% of the consumers who had a experience from a Bring It To Me dealer were willing to pay more for their experience. And 51% were willing to spend more on repairs while they wait for their car, either at their office or at home, if you're a Bring It To Me dealer. And I can share who those partners are if anyone is interested, or for the data to develop your own solutions to be able to do that.
Awesome.
Hopefully that went well.
Yeah, no, beautiful, beautiful. Because it's good to have a picture as to where we are and where the data is putting. Nobody knows. There's no crystal ball, and you hear different things. But it's interesting to hear that it sounds like the data says we'll probably be in this situation at least another year. So that's another year of record profits if we can get the cars.
Right.
So we got a couple of comments here I want to get to. Let's see here. Jerry Davis says at some point the bubble will break and we'll have customers so upside down in their used vehicles, it will hurt our business in the long run. In the long run, yes. But if we're going to go through another year of this, it's hard to predict because we've never seen these kind of numbers that I'm aware of. And I've been in this business, 41, 42 years. I've never seen them. What are you seeing, Max? You've got a lot of experience with buying, selling, retail, wholesale. You were sharing with us before the show some of the things that have changed in the last 90 days or so. Why don't you share some of that with us?
Well, the things that have changed in the last 90 days for us, our buying off the street has gotten much more difficult. And I think that's been brought on by a more knowledgeable seller. The consumers got a lot more knowledgeable. They all think they know what their car is worth, and they're pretty demanding of what they hold out for. Our competition's gotten sharper. There's more competitors out there. I want to back up just a second to the consumer. The consumers, I was on another show the other day, and one guy had an 82-year-old that had a 10-year-old BMW with a bad Carfax, and the guy drove to 16 dealerships. Now, he wasn't using technology, but, he drove to 16 dealerships, and somebody finally made a mistake that made him happy. And that happens. But the consumer buying off the street for us literally dried up 60 days ago. And, but, we're just trying new ways to find more people and spread our net wider. Back to the question of will the people be buried? I can't answer that intelligently. I was through the gas wars. I've been through the 21% interest rates. I can remember our controller walking into me and saying, if you sell 200 cars this month at our average gross at 21% interest that we're paying on the floor plan. And at that time, I was part owner of 3 dealerships, Ford, BMW, and a Chrysler Plymouth store. He said, we're still going to lose money. So you better figure out what we're going to do.
That blows my mind.
Yeah.
Blows my mind to hear that.
Yeah. But we sat down and figured it out. And that man is still in the car business. He had 3 accounting degrees, and I gave him my ideas, and he said, well, now let me show you what really works. And although we didn't have to cut people, we did give them we asked them to accept a reduction in pay, and then we made it back up to them once the economy came back. So did we lose any people? Yes, we lost a few, but we didn't lose key players and the people that we wanted to keep. We wanted to keep everybody, but the ones we lost were people that either couldn't take the temporary pay cut or couldn't see our vision as we saw it. But will these people be buried? I don't know. I can't answer that. I've sat down with many bankers who've been in the car business a long time. And as we saw our opportunity to wholesale a lot of cars that we were buying off the street and from other dealers that were that needed re-wholesaled, and we're able to do that because we have a very good reconditioning system. We went to our bank and said, hey, we may need a little bit more floor plan. And we started showing these numbers like Paul showed, that cars are worth 50% more. They said, yeah, we know. We're worried about what are they going to be worth down the road. And I couldn't get 3 different bankers to give me an answer. Paul, where do they think we're going to be?
Let me share with you the actual data points for that question. I wanted to share this in a separate discussion because this actually highlights the new used car factory, which is new car sales. So in the red box on the left, these are the new vehicle sales. I have from 2006 to 2024 predictions. You can see that in 2020 and in 2021, we have 2 depressed years. Well, those are the 0 to 2-year-old pieces of inventory. If you go back and take a look at the prior years and the prior year used vehicle sales, which is on the right side, this is 0 to 8-year-old vehicles on the right side of my screen. And in the red square, 2020, 21, 22, 23, 24. The volume here is impacted by the lower volume of new vehicle sales. We don't see that. Let me preface. I don't expect it to be much better in 2022. We still have chip shortages. We still have material shortages that go into the production, like magnesium. Whoever thought that magnesium is needed in steel, but it's used in steel for and aluminum alloys that are made for body parts. We have a shortage of that. Lithium. We talk about the growth of the EV market and hybrid vehicles with gas electric engines. You need lithium. Those are the best batteries. There's a battle right now to control the lithium, and that's going to be a problem. So I think that as an industry, 2022 is still going to be a phenomenal used vehicle year, and I think new car dealers will make even more profits on the inventory they do get to sell because of the competition. So Max, you see that right now that the average payment right now for a pre-owned car is just under $500. The average amount financed is $25,000. Compare that to 2019, it was $20,000 for the average amount financed and $420 for a pre-owned car. Well, prime consumers are migrating away from those higher prices on used vehicles, trying to find that new car inventory that they can get, and they're paying the money for that new car. So I think in 2022 and 2023, new car dealers are going to make a good profit on their new car inventory and make phenomenal profits on their pre-owned inventory.
Now, what's interesting is that, there's been quite a turn. Now, for us old geezers that have been in it for a long time, the customer knowledge was the Kelley Blue Book printout that didn't seem to match with what anybody wanted to spend at the buying end. And we'd say, well, come back and see us after you've sold your car to Mr. Kelley. That was then. Fast forward to now, the internet giving people so much knowledge and information online. Sure, they're not in the car business and they don't know it like we know it because we've been in it for decades. But guess what? They're a lot closer now than they've ever been. And on top of that, they know that they're in the driver's seat, pun intended, as
right.
Your friend who went to 16 different places. Now, that's a bit extreme. You're not going to see that. But we do see that online where people are shopping for values. And the interesting thing with that is that the sight unseen pricing isn't anything new. 20 years ago, I was buying cars from customers sight unseen over the phone. It was a different medium. It wasn't the internet that they were using as the medium. We were actually on the phone and I would ask them specifically, about this, about the tire, tell me this. I would ask them all the right questions
Right.
And believe it or not, I was typically within a nickel of what that car actually came in for. Once they came in and I gave them the disclaimer, hey, we're going to walk the car when you come in. And as long as it's what you represent it to be, not being in the business, this is what we'll pay. And when you walk the car with the customer and now you find out about the check engine light, you know they got an expensive quote somewhere and they know it. So it was very easy then. Now, because we have so many questions, even in the computer portals, I think we're still closer. But to the education part on the consumer end and the rising prices of cars, I'm seeing, or I'm hearing, that a lot more people are buying out their cars at the end of their lease, because what they could buy it for on a guaranteed residual is oftentimes way less than the market bears on it. So that further complicates the problem. So now when we find cars, wherever we find them, because we're finding them all over the country now this is where Rachel and Ty come into the picture, even more critical, because look, if I'm going to find something on the other side of the country, I need to get that car here yesterday. And like our buddy, Mr. Ice Block on a black.
Tim's calculator.
Yeah, Ted, and Tim, right? Your inventory is like a block of ice on hot asphalt. So now it becomes critically important. Rachel, you transport cars. Ty, you live in the lane. Why don't you guys talk to us about what you're seeing on that side of it?
Go ahead, Rachel.
Thanks, Ty. So we're seeing a lot of home deliveries going out from the dealership to the customer too. We're seeing a lot of people buying from our customers from all over the country as they are looking for the specific car that they particularly want, and maybe the price that they can't get it in their own market. So we're doing a lot of home deliveries that way. And then of course, we're seeing our dealer partners expand outside of their normal buying patterns, right? You can say that, for example, ABC, Max goes to Mannheim, Nashville every Tuesday and Wednesday. He's going to be there. Well, now he may be only there every other week, and now he's going to go try Indiana or Ohio or Maryland or another auction just so he can kind of get a little different inventory. But yeah, there's a lot of everybody used to be able to buy 10, 15, 20 cars. Oh my God, those were the days. Now we're happy if we get one or two, and that makes transportation really difficult. And then everybody wants it right away. I'm like, listen, guys, this is not as fast as when we used to buy 15. Now we have to wait to fill the truck, and everybody still wants that quick, and that fast service. When we got one car in the middle of nowhere, so it's been a challenge for sure. But we're getting better at it too, kind of piecing. I call it puzzle making, right? We're putting puzzles together. So that's kind of been a challenge and kind of fun, not gonna lie. And then we've also had to expand our customers too, because now we can only get one or two from here. And so now we have to expand our customer base, just so we can put those puzzle pieces together. So we can put a group of guys together that buy from the same area, so they can get that speed and price point that they're looking for.
Now, trucking costs money. If you're an owner operator or you have a company, that costs you money. You can't have an empty load or a half a load. You need that truck filled. So now it becomes, as you say, a juggling game and a puzzle. It's a 3D live puzzle where you've got to make all the pieces fit so everything goes in line to A, keep the cost reasonable, and B, be able to deliver in any kind of a time frame. Now, when you're saying you're doing a lot of more home deliveries, are you seeing more consumer to consumer purchases and transportation, or is this primarily dealer still?
So I always say I only transport for friends and family. So if I'm going to do a home delivery, I'm doing it on behalf of one of my dealerships
Okay.
that I work for. So if they say, Rach, we need your expertise, that is kind of like the only time that I ever step in for that. But I also wanted just to make a quick point about that too. Many people, as they're making these higher profit margins, right, are willing to pay more top dollar for transport.
Yeah.
And so some people are like, well, like they're stuck in the old adage, like, well, I've always paid $4.25, right? And I'm like, oh, we can try $4.25, but it's going up, right? It's going up as these truckers are actually going, they're dealing with higher fuel costs. They're dealing with the conditions of the road. They're dealing with, I've had it and I want to just come off of the road. I've seen more trucking companies go either pivot into like cattle, other logistics. I've seen many, many, many. I think we talked about it in our industry, about 15% of auto transporters, which is already a small segment in trucking, go out of business within the last year. It's pretty incredible.
Wow.
So, and if you go on any of the sites, you'll see tons of trailers for sale, just astronomical, So I've never seen that before. That was kind of freaky to me. I've kind of like, no, stay, don't you come back, because there's just few and far between.
Wow. And Ty, what are you seeing on your end?
Well, on my end, what I see is a guy like Paul and a guy like Max, and my approach is Paul did a great presentation about buying in the lanes, buying local, and doing those things, and I think it's real. And Paul's my friend. I talked to a guy like Max, and Max says, and I don't know what happened, but it's been a little slow. We're not buying in the lane. When I say lane, I'm assuming you mean like driveway, right, Max?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
So I think, Paul, you're more on the East Coast. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. And then Max is a guy who's in the Midwest, which I'm in the Midwest. And I think that's one of the reasons I like Max already, is because I talk to Max and I say, okay, Max, what are you doing? And I'm giving you an example, Paul, of what we teach on Auto Transport Intel every Tuesday night. We're relationship people. And we can sit here and I've got a narrative and I'm happy to share it with you. But what I like to present is the more I talk to someone to their face, whether it be Zoom or in a lane or at the dealership or at the gas station, wherever it might be, and we're talking about, I want to know about Max and I want to know about Max's business. Max, I want to know everything that you're dealing with today. What did you deal with last week? What are you dealing with today? What are you looking at next week? The reason I want to know that is because I'm a relationship guy and I'm a lane guy. So Max says he's in Springfield, Illinois. Watch this. This is great. Max, used to buy 60 days ago, it dried up on you. So what are you doing now to get used inventory?
What am I doing now? Well, we're looking for new sources, new ways to source cars, different than what we were doing in the past, using Facebook more, using Marketplace more, and we actually have two drivers that drive cars for us that we have driving up and down the streets and knocking on doors for cars for sale by people. And I mean, and these guys are car collectors. They're retired policemen and they're car collectors. And they know cars. They know how to look at the body of a car and the interior and make a good evaluation of the condition of it. And we're paying them extremely high bird dog fees, which we're happy to do because we have nothing invested. They're in their own cars driving around, so that's one thing we've done. We're seeking out other ways to. We've came across a company that basically brings all the Facebook leads or all the Facebook cars for sale, all the Marketplace cars for sale into one website area. We're starting that service next week.
VinQ?
So that's many of the things. No, it's not VinQ. No, I don't recall the name of the company. As a matter of fact, the guy came on another forum where you're not supposed to pitch, and it was late on the forum, and he started pitching, kind of like Paul did. How I met Paul, but I can't recall the name of his company, but he actually buys cars all day long too. So the guy's doing the same thing I'm trying to do. Go ahead.
Okay.
Paul.
So you're a used car dealer, no new, right?
Correct.
And what kind of volume are you looking at, say, on a monthly basis?
Well, prior to this,
you do wholesale and retail too. I think I heard you say that, right?
Yes. Prior to this, we were doing 40 to 50 retail a month, just two of us, retail, and wholesale at that time was probably a dozen.
Wow.
And that number's completely flipped. We're doing 20 retail deals. If we have 30 cars retail in stock, we sell 25. If we have 20 cars in stock, we sell 18 or 19 of them. Wholesale wise, our volume is in the 20s every month. We're doing about nearly a car a day, probably 25. And we're just re-wholesaling them to other dealers locally and or taking them to auctions and retail them there.
Boom. That's what I'm talking about. So here's my approach. Jay and I, you guys know Jay, my partner, but or I'm Jay's partner. I don't know how you put it, but we were having this conversation the other day about narratives. And I think it's easy to get caught up in a narrative. And I think with social media, which I love, that's where we're at today, right? I'm a part of it. It's a big part of my life. But I think at the same time, if we skip the people-to-people conversation, I want to know about Max. I want to know about Max's business. I want to know about his son-in-law. I want to know how many does retail, how many does wholesale. Max, you do doing a lot of wholesale from Springfield. Which auctions are you taking them to? I need 9 at a time. What can you do for me? Can you help me out, buddy?
Well, I tried to if I could, but first of all, Rachel's done business with me for a long time, so she'd have to do something wrong. But we're going to St. Louis, Mannheim, which is an hour and 15 minutes away. We're going to East St. Louis, Americas, which is an hour away. We're going to Morton for the older stuff, which is an hour away. We're going to Decatur, which is a half hour away, which is older stuff.
Yeah.
So
well, I'm not trying to get your business from Rachel, but what I am trying to do is I'm trying to illustrate. You just told me you have a lane. Okay, an hour and a half, hour and 15 minutes from Springfield to Mannheim. So if I'm paying attention, I'm listening to Max. I'm learning. Okay, I'm learning. Max is doing something. What's Max doing? Right? Paul's doing something. Paul Machine's doing something. What's Paul? Rachel's doing. Everybody's doing something, and we're all here to learn. Right? At least I am. I'm learning something amazing tonight. And I love hearing guys like Max talk. I love Paul Machine because Paul Machine's the data machine. I mean, he puts out incredible information. So as I take in these bits and these pieces, I'm starting to see, okay, where do I live? What do I do? Okay. Because Max, I'm sorry, but our Auto Transport Intel YouTube show kind of falls under education. And one of the things that we really didn't say here, I say it all the time on the show and I always get in trouble. I say car haulers suck, right? And the reason I say that is because we look at this, we just want cars, we want to load our truck, we want to drive, and that's the end of it. Here's your car, goodbye. And I think there's one of the key things that I found very, very helpful in my transportation business was sales. And so the more I hung out with used car dealers, sales guys, the more I understood about car sales and what that got. So, for example, I would always ask a car dealer, what's your electric bill this month, Max? Everybody thinks these guys just make tons of money, but they got expenses too, right?
Yeah, right.
So the more I understand their business, I'm able to have that relationship. I'm able to see, Max, I'm not trying to take your business, but Max, if I have my trucks and my trailers, I can really do a good job for you. I can get your cars delivered to you probably overnight because this is the only direction I go. And I got a lot of trucks that go that direction. Now, we may or we may not do business. That's okay. But at least you've got one more phone number, right?
Correct.
That's right.
So that's kind of what I'm seeing Paul Meijer. That's not necessarily maybe the answer we're all looking for, but I think 2022, it's just like, okay, everybody needs to find some solid ground and know some fundamentals that are true. Because there could be a lot of misinformation out there. I don't know, maybe.
What
So
I
have
like,
a tight circle. This is what I tell people. Have a really tight circle with really good people that you really trust, and don't agree with them on everything, because you're going to need people to challenge you. How do you like that?
what I like about this a lot is hearing from Max a strategy that I have not heard about other people. Okay, I've heard of people getting on the phone, here's this list of 5 people on XYZ car site. Call them up, see if you can buy the car from them. I've heard that, and usually after the third no, that list sucks. That list is no good. But to actually have scouts in their vehicles on the road locally going to knock on doors to look at cars and buy cars, I would venture to say there's probably not a lot of dealers out there doing that piece of it.
Can I say a couple things
Yes.
about buying and selling?
Yeah.
So that is my, a lot of people can take transportation in many different directions. And Ty, I appreciate what you said about getting to know your customer and creating a relationship. I think that's extremely important, but also very important to like bring the extra, right? So I was very blessed to work for one of the biggest buyers and sellers in the country, which gave me a lot of edge. And, some of the things that you may not have been thinking of, is like the prime time, auction prime time, right? So you got your prime time, and then most people fall off around like 12 or 1. And then there's the deals after the prime time, right? There's the late night deals, right? So like when everybody's sleeping, picking up the phone then. I think that there is a lot of newer online auctions out there that are coming up, blooming onto the scene, that a lot of people are taking advantage of. I know there's some big ones out there, like my guys at Cars Cur, ACV, Car Offer. These are all brand new little online things that are popping all up. There's many Facebook groups that are trading cars, local. I think my girlfriend, Judy Farkas down in Miami, awesome car lady. But she's in like Lexus Lovers of Miami, and these are like groups that you can join just to kind of like network in. And a lot of times those are areas where you might be able to find inventory that are unexpected, so and I always like to put my people together too. That's one of like my niches is, like, hey, I got cars I need to sell. Okay, well, don't worry. Just buy. I got a buyer. I tell all my customers, just buy it. I've got a buyer. Don't even worry if you can't sell it. I'll find somebody who can, and I think that is, the joy of like helping other people out, Usually they pay me in the transport. Hey.
And I like
That's
Paul's thing with, add a guaranteed buyback, just one more layer of transparency, yet one more thing to set the customer at ease that, hey, I'm not locked in. If there's a problem or I'm not comfortable, it gives them an out. And at the same time, you know what? I may have sold it for 10 this week, but guess what? Next week, I could probably sell it for 11 or more. So it's a win-win for everybody. I want to get to a couple of comments here. Andy Papenhagen says, sorry, I'm late. You're never late because it's on the internet and it is archived and lives on forever, my friend. Thanks for joining. Orlando Spencer, hi, Paul Meijer, and Jerry Davis says, as I'm listening to this, I'm watching Sunday Night Football. Carvana is advertising like crazy. They are killing it in some markets. I would agree. For the first time last year, 2 transporters from Carvana have shown up in our complex. It's a private complex to drop off cars. I've never, in the 10 years I've been living in this complex, have seen that, but I saw it twice last year. So everybody, to Max's point, everybody's getting sharper at the buying piece of it, which is what makes it harder for everybody at the same time. It isn't anymore that there's only 1 or 2 guys or gals out there that are doing it. Everybody's been put in a position where they've had to learn real quickly, and they're doing it, and they're employing some of the strategies that Paul Machine said about buying off the street. So it makes it that much more difficult. Orlando says maybe finance personnel will resist such a software while the software, he's talking about the FNI stuff, while the software will enable the additional packages for warranties and so on to be added to the customer purchase without the finance personnel being involved. They would feel as though they're going to lose their job or their earnings. This might cause them to resist this, which then brings me to the point that a lot of technologies have been resisted in the automotive space because folks feel as though they may lose money if they adopt. Well, the interesting thing about that, Orlando, is that of the stores that I've heard employing these, they're actually seeing greater penetration. And consumers want easy. It used to be the old school of, I want to find out about something. Well, you got to come in. No, we're not coming in anymore. And if you don't give me the answer I need within the short time frame, I'm hanging up the phone and I'm going to the next person, or I'm clicking the mouse into the next website. So dealers that have embraced this are seeing success. In the Bring It To Me that Paul was talking about, guys like Brian Benstock, visionary in the business when people thought he was crazy. When you ask him, what does it cost to do a drop off and pickup on an oil change for a service? When he gives an answer of $60, that's when people stop. Oh, I'm not spending that. But ask the follow-up question. How has that impacted your revenue coming in on the ROs that you're generating? Well, they're doing more ROs, and they've almost doubled the RO counts because they offered that. So is it really costing $60 per car? I don't think so. Sharp guys like Brian and a lot of others out there are realizing this, and they're seeing big picture. I got a couple more comments here. Tim Wilson, I work for a dealer. We had to do 20 Bring It To Me's a month. We called them PUDs, pickup and delivery. The customers love the convenience and personalized attention. Yeah, absolutely. Who wouldn't? If I said to you, I'm going to come to your house to pick up your car for service, or I'm going to bring you a car for a test drive, or I'm interested in buying your car and I'll pick it up from you, who here would say no to that?
Nobody.
Nobody. Lou Ramirez, the coffee guy, one of them. Whoa. What a lineup of Incredibles. Way to start the year, Paul. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Thank you. Happy New Year to you, my friend. Steve Apicella, FNI is a critical financial work center for every dealer, but we leave it up to the micro moment and funding time constraints of the FNI menu presentation alone. Should a consumer have intuitive access to all their purchased FNI products on their smartphone, and by natural extension to be able to see and engage all the missed FNI products after the vehicle sale? Yes. Why? Because when they're in the store, if they're in the store, you got about 45 minutes in the box with the customer to maintain compliance, build rapport, and then sell some of the products that are on your list. I'd say 7 in 10 customers that walked out of the box probably walked out without purchasing something. So to Steve's point, and he's brilliant at this, his software does that. It keeps it in front of the customer all the time, and it helps to communicate to that customer, and it makes it easier for them when they need to cash in. What, Rachel, you were trying to jump in here.
Yeah, I wanted to write down the idea before I forgot it, so that's why I picked up my phone. Um, we were talking about the FNI bundle, and I always like kick myself on my last car. I was in a hurry to buy, and I was so frustrated with the dealer that it took me like 2 hours. I'm like, I know what I want. I know how to drive this car. Like, let me just sign and drive. They're like, no, 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 we've got to go through the whole process. So by the time that I got to the F&I products, I was like, no, no, no. I didn't want to hear it. I just want to get here. So I like,
We
and
just
excuse
lost
my
you there for a
ignorance,
second, Rachel.
I didn't know about bona fide deal that is. And I think if I would have, and it wasn't until my girlfriend, who was an F&I mastery, was like, oh no, you need that. I was like, what? She said, oh yeah, this is why. But I didn't know. I wasn't educated because I was in a hurry to get back to time that I was in the middle of my busy work day when I'm trying to keep 80 dealers happy. You know, it's a hard job. So those are the things. If I had time to read over it and educate myself and have idea was to bundle it and products where amount of money to spend, and then like it's like at the Panera restaurant, pick two, right? For God knows how many hundreds, pick two. For God knows how many hundreds, pick three. You know, I can't begin to tell you. I hope no, but that's just how I roll. So that's all I want to say about that.
Jerry Davis says the new inventory starts catching up at some point. There would be a flood of people wanting new cars and stuck in used. I agree that these numbers have never been seen and it has to drop at some point. It's going to be interesting to see how it impacts the service end of it. Some people are saying that there's less cars coming in for service because used car customers typically don't come back to the dealer for service. And other dealer friends are saying that they're seeing more older cars come in than before because they trust the dealer more as far as being the most qualified to work on their particular OEM. So I can kind of see both sides on that. Orlando says, oh, go ahead.
I was going to say the average age of the used vehicle on the road today is 12 years old. If you're a dealer and you have a service facility, I'd be wearing that message out, wearing it out. I'll come get your car. I'll come get your 8-year-old vehicle with 125,000 miles on it and walk through it to help you keep it running for another 6 years. And I'll give you a good deal for the first service.
And here's the beauty about the older cars now, right? The vehicle service contracts have really gotten great. It used to be that you could only buy a vehicle service contract when your car was still within the factory warranty. But guess what? Nowadays, there's so many administrators out there selling so many great products. You could literally get a warranty on a 10, 15, sometimes 20-year-old car that goes on for a long period of time. So that's an area where dealers can capitalize on. A lot of stores are still stuck on, well, we use this particular company. Yeah, but your company doesn't offer that plan and you're not capturing that business. If you do offer somebody else's plan, you know, it's not like a child. You're not adopting them. You're selling a product that's backed by a reputable company. That now when the customer purchases that, they have to come back to you if they're within 40 or 50 miles to do that warranty service. So there are many different ways to skin a cat. Let's see here. Lou Ramirez and Paul are going back and forth here. And Robert Sebastian, I have not heard that before. Awesome, Max. Yeah, that's pretty cool, that the people in the car thing. Orlando says, great way to sneak a pitch in there. Thank you. I am learning. You know the great thing about sales is that we recognize other people in sales. Even though we try our best to keep our sales hat off, the reality is it's just part of our DNA. It's who we are. And Orlando says, great counterfeit, Rachel. Michael Weldon, my friend from the West Coast. Way to start the year. Wake up call. 2022 is here and everything is new. Embrace. And Ron Usher, I know a great expat that would make a great scout for cars. Rachel is awesome. Max, don't lose her. I think I know who Ron's talking about here. And Jerry Davis says, being in service, we are up far from year over year in RO count. And Shamar Jones, great conversation content. Again, FNI and We Buy Your Car is growing sector in automotive. No joke. And Robert Sebastian says most dealers are so stuck on old metrics, they couldn't implement the great idea, Paul, about capturing those 12-year-old cars. And I'm going to follow up on that piece of it. There's a dealer in New Jersey that I spoke with that they have a sliding scale labor rate depending on how old the car is. And their rationale is the person that's got a 1, 2, or 3-year-old car that can spend this much money per hour is not the same person that's got an 8-year-old car that can spend this much. So what they do is they have a lower scale for the older cars, and they're incorporating some of the aftermarket products that are, granted, not the same integrity and quality as an OEM replacement part, but for all intents and purpose will work just fine for that older car, and they're embracing some of that, and they're capturing some of that business where for many years it's been, well, you know, this is what it is, this is what it costs. If you don't like it, go somewhere else. Who wants to tell the customer to go somewhere else today?
Right. That's right.
Not too many. Well, we've come to the end of the show. Max, do you have anything you'd like to add?
No, I just appreciate you asking me on. It was a pleasure to meet Ty and Paul. And I just hope that everybody has, may 2022 be your best year ever.
Mr. Thompson.
Yeah, thanks, Paul, for having me on. Good to meet you, Max. Really enjoyed it. Good to see you again, Rachel. And Paul, as always, I love your dad, man.
And your show is Auto Transport Intel Tuesdays and during the daytime, 3 days a week. What are the times?
Yeah, Tuesday night's the Jay Wurzberger. It's Auto Transport Intel on YouTube. That Tuesday night's the big one. Wednesday we do noon. That's DOT. So if you're DOT, need some help.
Is that Brian?
Yeah, Brian DOT, Brian Riker. That guy's a genius. I mean, he's a walking Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration handbook. He knows it all. Thursday, we have Sue dispatching live. That's kind of the crazy show. And then Friday, we do Cars on the Move. That's me out in the transport parking lot at the auction.
Awesome.
Nice.
I'm looking, depending on what the COVID situation is, sometime in 2022, Ty, I told you last year I'm going to come see you and we're going to hang out in the lane together, brother.
Hey, just 15 days to slow the curve. I'll see you in another year, buddy.
Mr. Machine, any final thoughts on your end, sir?
Just want everyone to hold on to your hat because 2022 is going to be a crazy ride. And it's the resiliency and entrepreneurial mindset that has made our industry so phenomenal. And I'm looking forward to that kind of engagement next year. Max, it's been a pleasure to meet you, as you as well, Rachel. Hope to see you guys more frequently.
Awesome. And Rachel, final words for us today?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. I'm really glad that I got to share my knowledge with all of you guys, and hopefully we learned it from everybody out there. Max is a friend on the social media one could ever have, and I'm just so grateful. And by the way, he does this for everybody, so he is the greatest support system I've ever seen in this industry. And he always makes me feel special when times are tough. Being an entrepreneur is very difficult to lay up. So to everybody out there, positive. Have a great year. Hustle up, make it bigger, go ballistic, and let's move some metal. Talk to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for being on the show. Thank you guys and gals for tuning in online. If there's someone that you know that would benefit from this information, please share this broadcast with them in your network. I want to thank you. Wish everybody a happy new year. Let's rock 2022. 2021 was a great learning experience. We've learned that the automotive industry continues to be resilient when the forces of nature throw curveballs at the car business. The car business ducks, moves, makes adjustments, responds, and gets it done. It's always been that way. It will always be that way. And that's why some of my best friends today I met on both sides of the desk in the car business. There's a reason nobody gets out of this business alive. What is that reason? Because it's friggin' awesome. That's why. The only problem is when you get into it, they don't tell you that nobody gets out alive. It isn't until you've been sucked into the culture and it becomes part of your DNA and it runs through your veins that you start to get that, yeah, you know what? These are my people. These are the people. I'll work a double shift so that Johnny over here can go watch his son play soccer, or that Julie can go to her meeting at the school. You don't find that in too many businesses. And whether you have good words or bad words, you always know where you stand with car people. You could be getting ready to knock each other down in one moment, and after that exchange, hey, let's go for a beer. That's just the way the car business is, you know? So thank you again. Everybody have a safe and productive week coming up, and we'll see you next week on Sunday Night Live. Thanks again.
Thanks, Paul.
Thank you.